This is our second meeting for year 2022, and it's 33rd Kampala Executive Toastmasters Club. You're highly welcome. Our dear guests, we are glad to have you. I will introduce myself. I'm Charity Niyonchuti, taking on the role of Sergeant at Arms. Yes, I'm glad to be your Sergeant at Arms this evening. I will share some of the meeting etiquettes. One is about renaming. I request that we put our names, and if we have a role we are taking, I request us to indicate the role for easy identification. If you are our guest, you put your name and you indicate that you are a guest. If you're from a certain Toastmasters club, please indicate it. And the Zoom chat is open for any communication that you would want to put across. Suggestion, recommendation, anything that you would want us to know about, I request you to put it on the chat. And I'll request that if you're not speaking, kindly unmute to avoid the unnecessary noise that might bring some disorder in the meeting. And if you're a guest, kindly put for us your details, your contacts, your email for easy follow-up on our side. Thank you so much. I will request Madam President to come and give us a welcome remark and introduce the Toastmaster of the day. We hope to have a great time in the next 2 hours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Charity, for the warm welcome and for welcoming our members and guests this evening. To add on to your welcome, I take this opportunity to welcome everyone that has spared time to come and be with us this evening, to learn, to have fun, and to be in this family gathering. You're welcome. I see a number of guests on the call. I see visiting Toastmasters. I see our division leaders, area leaders. You're all welcome. Before any further ado, I'd like to invite our division director, Wilson, in less than 1 minute to wave to us and greet us. After that, the area director, Timothy, will do the same, and then we'll proceed. Director Wilson, over to you.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm on the road. I would like to thank all our colleagues who have turned up today. This is a very important meeting because you're going to listen to our new member, Andrew Othieno. He has been preparing for some time and we can't wait to listen to him. Over to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Director Wilson, for the kind words and for welcoming the people. Director Timothy, are you on the call?
Yes, Madam President.
All right, please greet your people.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and guests that are tuning in at Kampala Executives this evening. My name is Timothy Kavuma, and I'm happy to play a role at this meeting. This is my meeting number 2 for the year 2022. I'm really excited coming out of a long sabbatical and looking forward to listening in from people that I've not heard from in a very long while. Thank you. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Director Timothy. I see a number of guests on the call. I see Joshua. Joshua, are you on?
Yes, I'm on.
Please turn on your video and greet us. Tell us who you are and where you're from.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Joshua Msimenta. I've been invited to attend the Toastmasters meeting. I'm a student at Makerere University Business School in my third year, and I happen to be the Mr. Popularity Y Plus 2021-2022. I'm happy to be with you this evening. Back to you, to Madam President.
Thank you very much, our guest Joshua, and we look forward to hosting you again and subsequently having you as a member of Kampala Executive Toastmasters Club. We have Oscar. Oscar B, are you on the call? As we wait for Oscar, we've been joined by Grace Mark Tusubira,
Hello.
who I know is a guest and has been on our WhatsApp group for quite a while. You're welcome, Grace. Please greet us.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Grace Mark Tusubira. I'm an advocate and I work for Public Law Interest Clinic, School of Law, Makerere University, and I'm excited to join the call. I'm looking forward to learning more and sharing my experiences and learning from other people's experiences. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Grace. We look forward to interacting more and having you as part of Kampala Executive Toastmasters Club. Oscar, are you on?
Yes, hello. I am Oscar Biamgisha. This is my first meeting at Toastmasters. I'm very excited. I'm the general manager at Intercar Europcar Uganda Limited. And yeah, very excited to learn more from Toastmasters. Back to you, Chairman.
You're very welcome, Oscar. I can assure you guests that you're in the right place and we look forward to learning together, improving our communication and leadership skills. Just to share with us the mission of our club, as well as Toastmasters International, we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Who doesn't want to grow? Who doesn't want to be a better communicator or a better leader? You're all very welcome. I take this opportunity to introduce to you our Executive Committee of 2021-2022. For members that may have seen a poster like this before, we were joined by a Sergeant at Arms that we did not have in the last 6 months. Charity Nyonshuti, you're very welcome to the Executive Committee. Everyone, allow me request you to give a hand clap to Charity, who joined the Executive Committee. Same with Geoffrey Ayebale, who accepted to be the Vice President for membership of Kampala Executives. Thank you so much, Geoffrey. A hand clap to you. Our dear guests, if you see any of these people here on the call, feel free to ask them any question about Toastmasters Club, like how to join the club, like when we meet, and any other question that you may have. At this moment, I'll introduce to us the Toastmaster of the evening. Our Toastmaster this evening is none other than Toastmaster Agnes Katushabe, who is a charter member of Kampala Sunrise Club. and she was on the previous executive committee. Toastmaster Agnes has a number of hobbies. She enjoys adventure, nature walks, being on water. Yes, you've heard right. She enjoys being on water. She enjoys learning new things and reading humorous books. Toastmaster Agnes, you're very welcome to take us through the next exciting step of our meeting this evening. A hand clap to our Toastmaster of the evening, Agnes.
Thank you, Madam President. It's an honor to be your Toastmaster this evening, to host you for this meeting. I am looking forward to a great meeting, considering that we have our speakers already and role takers. We have a theme for this meeting. Listen. Yes, listen. That's our theme for this evening. How many of you have noticed the number of distractions that we have as the years keep going by and by? There are countless distractions, right? And yet, listening is one of those skills that is very important for every single one of us. The advantages are many. I'm sure you can list some of them if I asked right now. I know we know them, but why is it so hard to listen? Toastmasters and guests, as we get into the meeting, we will keep uncovering a bit more about that. But here is a quote I found. It says, "Speak in such a way that others love to listen to you." Listen in such a way that others love to speak to you. That is the part that we are going to focus on, the second part of that quote. The author of this quote is anonymous, but it has a lot of weight. Remember, listen in such a way that others love to speak to you. We're going to have two speakers this evening. We have evaluators, and all these roles will require for us to listen as they speak. As they listen, there's so much that you can take away from their speeches that can do quite a lot for you. So this meeting, I will be joined by other role takers who I'm going to call, so they tell us what they're going to do in this meeting. We have our timer. We'll start with our timer. Frank, would you please unmute and tell us how you're going to carry out your role this evening? Frank?
Sorry, good evening, Toastmaster. Good evening, and my Toastmasters. As a timer, my role is very simple. I'm expected to time 4 different speeches. The first being the table topics, which is a 1 to 2 minute speech. And with this speech, I'll give a green warning light at 1 minute, a yellow light at 1.5 minutes, and a red light at 2 minutes. The speaker will be disqualified if he exceeds 2.5 minutes. Second category is the evaluation speeches. These speeches are expected to run between 2 and 3 minutes. I will share my screen at 2 minutes, then a yellow light at 2.5 minutes, a red light at 3 minutes, and the speaker will be disqualified at 3 minutes. I was advised that we have an icebreaker. An icebreaker runs between 4 and 6 minutes, and I will share a green light at 4 minutes, yellow light at 5 minutes, and a red light at 6 minutes. I expect to disqualify a candidate if they go past 6.5 minutes. Lastly, but not least, is the organized speeches. These speeches are expected to run between 5 and 7 minutes. And as a timer, I will present or share the green light at 5 minutes, yellow light at 6 minutes, a red light at 7 minutes, and the candidate will be disqualified if it exceeds 7.5 minutes. I will share my final report when I'm called upon at the end of this meeting. Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the evening. Over to you.
Thank you, Frank. Next, we will have our grammarian, and that is Alex Agaba. Alex, would you please unmute and tell us what you will do during this meeting as grammarian? Alex, can you hear me? Great.
Yes, Madam Toastmaster, thank you. My name is Alex and I'll be your grammarian for the meeting. The purpose, sorry, I can't share my video now. I'm almost home though, so I'll show it when I reach home. The purpose of this role is for me to take note of English usage throughout the meeting. I will take note of how members have properly or inappropriately used the language, and I'll come back and give a report at the end of the meeting. I also have a word of the day. The word of the day for this meeting, considering our theme of listening, is a word or a pair of words. Our word of the day is active listening. So members, you're encouraged to use the word of the day throughout the meeting. Once again, the word of the day is active listening. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Alex. What a befitting phrase for this meeting, active listening. And as you've noticed, most of the roles are really going to be about that as he listens out to the word of the day, to how we are using the English language, and so many others, as you will notice. Another role is hackmaster and accounter. Geoffrey Ayebare, would you please share with us how you will do that?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the evening. My name is Geoffrey Ayebare, and I will act as the hackmaster and the accounter of this meeting. As a hackmaster, I will encourage effective listening during the meeting. And therefore, I will ask questions at the end of the meeting to see how members were listening in, if they were attentive or not. There will also be a quiz towards the end. And as the accounter, I will listen attentively to the fillers and the use of the language of each member who is speaking. And towards the end of the meeting, I will have a compilation of the as and as and the fillers that each of the members used. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Geoffrey, for that. I'll finally call Timothy Kavma, the General Evaluator, for the Table Topics Master. I'll call you at the point when you're ready to execute your role. But for now, Timothy Kavma, would you please explain to us what you will be doing as General Evaluator?
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the evening. Good evening once again to everyone on the call. My role as a general evaluator requires me to pay close attention to everything that happens at this meeting. In fact, this role takes place even before the meeting starts, and I have been able to track whatever has happened before the meeting started. From the point when the meeting starts or where the meeting started, I have been taking note of the things that we're doing well and those that require us to up our game. Towards the end of the meeting, I will deliver a report that will list the things that we have done well, plus recommendations on how we can improve our performance as students in this school of life. The second part of this role requires me to conduct the evaluation session where we get to receive reports from the different role takers as have been introduced by the Toastmaster of the evening, as well as getting feedback from our evaluators. I will conduct that also towards the end of the meeting. Back to you, TMOD.
Awesome. Thank you, General Evaluator Timothy Kavuma. We now get into that part of the meeting where we actively listen to the prepared speeches. And our first speaker is Andrew Othieno. To introduce Andrew Othieno is Shamim Nyerere. Madam President Shamim, would you please introduce our first speaker? Over to you, Shamim.
Thank you very much, President Elizabeth. Happy New Year, Kampala executives. My name is Nyerere Shamim. I'm excited today and I'm so honored to be evaluating an icebreaker speaker. Usually, if we were in a physical meeting, we would all stand up and give a standing ovation and clap for our icebreaker because they are beginning a very significant journey in their Toastmasters learning pathway. But because we are not physical, we are going to put our videos and show love and support to Andrew Othieno as he comes to deliver his very first icebreaker. And the title of Andrew's speech, let's first give him a round of applause and then I'll introduce his speech. Andrew, all that support is for you. As an icebreaker, your speech will be between 4 to 6 minutes. And we shall be looking forward to seeing you exhibiting preparedness. We would want to see your audience awareness. We would want to see you having vocal variety in your speech. We would want to have the usual speech, the speech structure of let's understand your introduction, let's understand the body, let's understand the conclusion, carry us along with you in your story. The icebreaker is meant to introduce you to the club and would want to encourage you to have fun while at it, but we shall be evaluating so that you can know what you can do better. The title of Andrew's speech is My Journey Thus Far. My Journey Thus Far, Andrew Othieno. Andrew Othieno, My Journey Thus Far. Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yeah.
Okay. Where there's a will, there's definitely a way. After Bugan Road Primary School, I joined King's College, Budo in 1991. I'm one of those very proud Budonians who revels in the fact that the person I am today, the individual I've become, is all because of the rules and regulations and discipline from King's College, Budo. In Senior 5, I chose to run for the head prefectship of the school, and that was the first time in life that I actually came to the realization of the fact that where there's a will, there's definitely a way. I was the last person on campus that anyone would have expected me to run for that position, but I did indeed do so and successfully went through. Once again, where there's a will, there's definitely a way. After Senior 6, I joined Makerere University as a law student. Somewhere along the way, I found myself not fitting to become a lawyer simply because I had studied history, economics, and literature. Doesn't mean, I should say, that I should become a lawyer. I decided, therefore, to pursue further education elsewhere. The United States was my piece of decision, or where I chose to pursue further education. The process of getting the visa, the process of convincing family, the process of convincing friends was not an easy one. But eventually, in 1999, where there's a will, there's definitely a way. I made it to the United States. Having arrived in the US, it wasn't easy navigating my way through also, trying to get used to a totally different culture. An African will always be an African, no matter where you take them. But eventually, slowly but surely, I found the place that I wanted to study at. I joined Howard University in 1999. For the first year, my parents were very supportive, family were very supportive, those who live in the United States, etc. But eventually, I was able to, after having worked very hard, gain full scholarship for the rest of my education in the United States. Once again, the fact that I was able to gain all the financial assistance I required, where there's a will, there's definitely a way. Upon graduation from Howard University, I decided to shoot for the stars once again, chose to apply for an internship at the United Nations in New York. Where there's a will, there's definitely a way. I was deployed at the United Nations in New York for 1 year. Having completed my internship, it dawned on me that I did not travel to the diaspora to do cheyo. I wasn't trying to get their passport. I'm a Ugandan through and through. I will always be African. I decided to continue pursuing my further education, shot for the stars again, and decided to apply to the London School of Economics and Political Science. No one in family was going to support me with that endeavor. No organization, institution was going to offer me free money to do so, but I definitely went ahead and sent as many applications as I could. Where there's a will, there's definitely a way. I finally got the full scholarship to study at the LSE, where I majored in development economics. Upon completion of my education at the London School of Economics, I decided to do the same thing I did in the United States and try to gain some work experience. I applied to the Association of Commonwealth Universities and was employed as a project manager for the Africa unit at the Association of Commonwealth Universities, and spent the next 2 to 3 years traversing the continent, excuse me, trying to create partnerships between higher education institutions in the United Kingdom and the UK. Having spent 5 years in the United States, having spent 5 years in the United Kingdom, I felt like it was time to come home. Where there's a will, there's definitely a way. There's a lot of opportunity in the diaspora. It's a place that's very attractive. You want to stay there for, excuse me, for the rest of your life. But I decided to come home. Upon my return, I was employed at the National Planning Authority, where I worked as a research assistant for Uganda's first national development plan. Living in the diaspora and then returning home is a very difficult thing to balance. Adjusting to life back home is not easy. Having traversed the world, the United States, the United Kingdom, I thought it would be best maybe for me to try another country. Uganda had frustrated me to a certain extent. Those of us who have lived in the diaspora come back with that stubborn perspective. You can jump on a plane and go to any place in the world you wish. Fortunately, where there's a will, there's definitely a way. I made it to Rwanda. I was employed at the Private Sector Federation of Rwanda. And I should say, for those who are wondering, I could consider myself half Rwandan. I worked at the Private Sector Federation for a period of 5 years as part of the delegation of the Rwanda government that was negotiating issues regarding the East African community. 5 years was enough in Rwanda. I decided to come home again. Where there's a will, there's definitely a way. I was fortunately employed at the office of the Prime Minister, and it is since then till now that I have actually been working for government. There's a lot I've said about my education. There's a lot I've said about my career. But on a final note, I'd like to leave each and every one of you with this statement: where there's a will, there's definitely a way. Thank you very much.
Wow, where there is a will, there is definitely. I told you, if you actively listen, there's a lot you're going to pick from this meeting. We'll move on to our second speaker, and that is Elizabeth Asiimwe, Madam President. And to evaluate Elizabeth, we have Frank Kavuma. Frank, would you please introduce our second speaker, Elizabeth?
Toastmaster, we always wear more than one hat. I now come in as Elizabeth's evaluator. Elizabeth is attempting a speech on research and presentation. Elizabeth's speech is the Hickey skull. The Hickey skull. And the purpose of this project is for her to learn, or if she had never learned, to review her best research methods. I expect Elizabeth to present as a well-researched topic and a well-organized speech. This speech can be humorous, it can be informal, and can be presented in any format, as long as the content and the style in which she has used to share will both together give a good delivery of her speech. Elizabeth asked me to look into her physical gestures, how effective she uses her gestures in the speech, how well researched the topic is. So I'll expect to get some good information from her speech. Her vocal variety, how the tone, the speed, and the volume will be used as a tool in communication. And lastly, will be her level of confidence, how she appears confident with the audience. I will be able to present my report to the general evaluator at the end of the meeting. So I will now present to you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth Asiimwe. Elizabeth. Elizabeth on the call.
Mr. Frank.
All right.
Toastmasters and guests, have you ever been there, walking on the street, relaxed at home, or even eating food, and you feel the urge to scratch your head? Not because you're trying to remember a point, but because your scalp is itching with dandruff. Anyone, by show of hands? Okay, thank you. A few days ago, I met my friend Nelly. I had last seen her in about a year. At first, I couldn't recognize her, and she noticed the shock. We just smiled it off and moved on. Nelly shaved her head clean. It was almost as transparent as a glass. I asked her, Nelly, why did you do this? What motivated you to take this bold step of shaving your hair? Nelly said, Elizabeth, I couldn't stand the dandruff. I said, Nelly, there are many products on the market. You mean you failed to get a product that works for you? Nelly responded in the affirmative. She said, Lisa, it seems either the products are fake or they are not working. For some reason, none worked. I was curious. I thought about it and felt I could find out more about dandruff. The very first quote I landed on was by the rich bid, that there are only two things in life that come without effort. And these are failure and dandruff. You don't need to put in any efforts to have dandruff. In this presentation, I'll share with you about dandruff, the causes, symptoms, treatment, and a few tips on how to manage it. A few slides coming. So what is dandruff? According to the American Academy of Dermatology Association, dandruff is a condition that causes flakiness and itching of the scalp. Apparently, it affects about 50% of the adult population globally. And that is by border and country. Imagine if we are 20 people in this Zoom room, research has it that 10 of us have dandruff. It is that common. And research also indicates that it affects especially men, and it does not spare children. It gets children as young as 3 months. What are the signs and symptoms of dandruff? The key signs and symptoms are 2, flaking. If you can see at the screen, there are those pictures of whitish things in the hair. Those are the flakes. And then an itchy scalp. Of course, we cannot see an itchy scalp, but we can feel it. If you've been there, you know how itchy the scalp can be when you have dandruff. Others include eyebrow flakes. Imagine this dandruff, if it even goes to the eyebrows, it goes to the beards. I'll not mention other parts. Dandruff causes hair loss, and it can even cause flakes on the skin. Imagine you have a smooth face, dandruff hits, and then all of a sudden you start seeing your face peeling off. And it is said that when the dandruff is severe, it leads to a condition called seborrheic dermatitis. This is where, in addition to the flakes, the skin gets inflammations. It is so painful. What are the causes of dandruff? Literature indicates that there is a fungus called Malassezia. This fungus is very stubborn. It feeds on the scalp, and as it overgrows, it keeps taking in the lipids or the fats on the scalp, and the fats dry up, they flake off, forming the dandruff. There are other influencing factors. It is said that the level of stress is a contributing factor. The higher the stress, the higher the dandruff. Just imagine. The immunity, when the immunity is low, you're likely to get dandruff. And in terms of age, it is said that the peak is between 20s and 30s. Much as babies get it and adults get it, it is more common and more severe between 20s and 30s. We've seen what dandruff is, what causes it, and now we're going to look at the treatment. Unfortunately, it is not clear. While researching this, I tended to remember Nelly's statement. These products are not working. As we see, much as there is no clear treatment for dandruff, the American Academy of Dermatology Association recommends using medicated shampoos and scalp treatment. There are many shampoos on the market, but not all the brands we see are medicated. when we are buying, we need to look out for shampoos that have active ingredients like ketoconazole or sulfur. These are some of the antifungal chemicals that can aid in relieving us of dandruff. Other researchers say that when you use tea tree oil, it can help. When you eat healthy food, when you have more fruits, more vegetables, less of the high calorie foods, you're likely to have a healthier scalp. And also hygiene. It is recommended that we wash our hair regularly so that we don't get dandruff. However, with all these attempts in place, there is no empirical evidence on what actually treats dandruff. Toastmasters and guests, I'm opening this conversation to you. What do you say? In case you've had a dandruff experience before, what remedies did you use? In less than a minute, kindly type in the chat what you used, and we will be happy to read it out and share with all of us for the benefit of everyone. I am watching the chat. We have one, Timothy Kavuma, saying, I made peace with it. Now imagine, that may not be different from Nelly's. Oscar used Head and Shoulders, worked wonders. Wow, if that's a brand, we'll be very glad to know. Kindly share some more information about it. All right, others are compliments in the chat. Please keep them coming, we'll proceed. In summary, we've seen dandruff as a condition that causes a flaky and itchy scalp. We've seen that it is caused by a fungus. Although the treatment is not clear, the doctors recommend use of medicated shampoo to prevent it and some other home remedies like we've seen in the previous minutes. Toastmaster of the evening.
Great, a round of applause for Elizabeth and for Othieno, our speakers of this evening. Let's give them a round of applause. Great, they've given us so much to learn. And so this is the point where we will take a break, and after we come back, we are going to be going into a table topic session. But before we go for the break, why don't I invite Table Topics Master to tell us what that session will be about. We will then go for a break and come back ready to take on table topics. Master? Wilson, Asiimwe, are you on the call? All right. I hope he didn't go off the call. Internet issues. Okay, let's go for the break. 5 minutes break. Coming to 7:20. Okay. So 7:25, let's come back at 7:25. And SAA, please, if you have some music, that would be great. Over to you, SAA, and everyone for a break. Great, thank you, Madam President, for the music. I see we have 1 minute too, just to check in. If you're back, just indicate with a thumbs up, just like that. So we know you're back from the break. Thank you, I see the thumbs up. All right, and shall we confirm whether Wilson is back on the call? Is Wilson back? Okay. Wilson's internet may not be so
back
now. So here is what we are going to do. We are going to do the table topics together. Remember, our theme is listen. So we're going to ask randomly, any person be ready for a table topic. So what is table topics? Table topics is something, is impromptu speaking, where we train ourselves to speak off the cuff. You're called, you're not prepared, and you have to speak. So we'll mention a topic and call anyone randomly to speak. Are you ready? Okay. And at some point, I'll ask you to continue the conversation from the speeches that we've had. If you have a follow-up question that you want anyone to answer about any topic, just raise your hand, ask, and choose anyone on the call to answer that question for you. So my first question is, which music do you enjoy to listen to? Which music do you enjoy listening to? And for this, I will ask Joshua Musime. Joshua Musime, which music do you enjoy listening to? In 2 to 3 minutes.
Draw the birthday cake first today.
Hello everyone. Hello?
Yes, Joshua?
My name is Joshua once again. I enjoy country music and of course our own. I am Ugandan. I love our own Ugandan music. I don't know if Madam President, but she knows my music. I know. I have Ugandan music. Whichever Ugandan song she has, she can play. Thank you.
Okay, Joshua likes to listen to Ugandan music. Thank you, Joshua, for that. And remember, our speeches will be timed 2 to 3 minutes, table topics. Actually, 1 to 2 minutes, right? Yes. Our next question. Which speaker do you...
Sorry to interrupt, Toastmaster of the evening.
Yes, Elizabeth.
Toastmaster Wilson is back on the call.
Sorry?
Toastmaster Wilson is back on the call.
Awesome. Thank you. Toastmaster Wilson, would you kindly unmute? Say your microphone.
Yes, Madam Toastmaster of the evening. I will not unmute my video because my network is on and off. I hope you explained what table topics is all about, but I can repeat. Table topics is a long-standing tradition in Toastmasters, and it's meant to help us enhance our impromptu speaking skills. We are always faced with table topics, whether it's marriage, whether it's at work. It's a time when you're asked a question and you have to respond. And that's why we have to master these skills. I want to choose Toastmaster Derek Garcia. Are you there?
Yes, and Wilson, as Toastmaster Garcia comes, I had asked one question about music, the music we enjoy listening to, and Joshua answered that. So over to you, Wilson.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, the topic you're going to speak to, Derek, is I listened to him. I listened to him, Derek Garcia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters and guests. It was just over 6 years ago that I lost my father. One can only imagine the pain the loss of a father is to a young man. The last of his children, his last seed, not to be able to conversate, not to be able to interact, not to be able to share experiences anymore. But as I went through my moments of grief, my heart filled with delight. My spirit was lifted as I thought about all I would have shared with my father and he would have imparted to me as a young man growing up. Did I always pay attention? Oh no, because I'm a young man, life is ahead of me and I know everything. What do you know? You've already lived your life. Only to realize as I looked at my son, Derek Jr., and shared with him my experiences, looking at Derek and seeing me through his eyes, listening to my father. And I am glad that some of the things he would have shared sunk in, and I was able to recall, able to utilize his experience to my benefit. For when we learn from the experience of others, we do not have to buck our toes all over again. We don't have to go through the same mistakes because someone would have shared, someone would have gone the way and had those experiences for us. So we have the benefit of their mistakes and their successes. And yes, to this day, I can say that even though I did not listen to everything, I've listened to some of the things and I am a better person for it. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Derek Garcia. Derek Garcia is a seasoned Toastmaster from the Bahamas. He's a friend of this club. Thank you very much. For our new members and guests, with table topics, you must have an introduction, body, and a conclusion. And you deliver a speech in 2 minutes. The next person is going to speak is Mbabazi Charlotte. Mbabazi, are you there? Mbabazi, are you there? Okay, Oscar B, are you there?
Hello, yes, I'm here.
All right, Oscar, your table topic prompt this evening is, which speaker do you want to listen to? Over to you, Oscar.
Oh wow, I'm very new to this. This is my first meeting. The speaker I would like to listen to. Do you mean someone who has not spoken before, or one of the two who have already spoken?
No, somebody you enjoy listening to. A public speaker.
Oh, a public speaker. I really enjoyed listening to Mr. Patrick Bichature. I don't know if that counts.
Yes, tell us why.
Well, I've listened to him maybe on 3 different occasions, and one thing I got to learn from him was how
very candid he was, and easy to understand, especially when he came to finances. You see, when you look at someone who is as rich as he is, you would think that how he makes money or how money should be made would be a trade secret. Surprisingly, it's not. He's really open to tell you the do's and don'ts. If even after the meeting, you can still tell him, I have this idea, I'm thinking of doing this, and he's very free with his advice as well. So that's what I really liked about him.
Thank you very much, Oscar. I would like to urge you to join our club, Kampala Executives, and learn more about the different types of speeches that we deliver as speakers. Thank you very much for attempting that topic.
Thank you very much. I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Right. Our next speaker, or last speaker, is Miriam Nansubuga. Are you there, Miriam?
Yes, Wilson, I'm here.
All right, Miriam, your topic this evening is, I regret not listening to her. I regret not listening to her, Miriam Nansubuga.
3 years ago, my favorite cousin told me she had cold cancer and she was battling for her life. Suddenly, the life that I thought we had to live together was now a few days away, and soon she would not be here with us. And it scared me. And with that, I decided to avoid her. I decided to keep my distance, thinking that if I run away and hide, then the terrible news she had told me would not be true, and that if I came back sometime later, everything will be well and we shall go back to where we used to be, leisurely living our lives. She tried to call, she tried to chat, she tried to send messages, and I replied curtly just to switch her off and not want to get into the thick conversation of what was her illness. One February morning, I received a phone call that notified me of her death. I regret not listening to her. I wish I had stayed and talked with her instead of hearing from people how her treatments were going and likely giving me false hope that all would be well. I regret not listening to her. Thank you, Madam Master of Table Topics. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Miriam, for sharing that sensitive personal story. I, for one, have learned something from that story. I hope the rest have also learned something. Mr. Timer, I think my time is up. I would like to remind the voters that we had 4 speakers. The first one was Joshua. Second one was Derek Garcia. We had Oscar B. and Miriam Nansubuga. Madam President, how are we going to vote? Are we going to send a secret vote to our Sergeant at Arms?
Yes, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Okay, you can.
Sergeant at Arms, please turn on your video so that people identify you. All members are encouraged to send your best speaker to Charity.
Charity Neon Shuti. Okay, I want to remind us again, we had Joshua, we had Derek Garcia, we had Miriam Nansubuga and Oscar B. please send your secret bots to Charity Niyonshuti. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster of the evening. I've enjoyed this session.
Wow, thank you so much, Wilson Asiimwe. What a sobering moment of truth as the different topics people are sharing. So let's take just 1 minute, give an opportunity to everyone to vote. And after that minute, I want to call the general evaluator. Just 1 minute. Vote, vote, vote. Okay, hopefully that's enough time for us to vote our beta speaker in table topics. Thank you very much, Wilson Asiimwe. A round of applause for him and a round of applause for every courageous person that has been called upon to speak. You are all very courageous. Table topics, being called to speak without preparation. Well done, well done. All right, so I will call the general evaluator to invite Hackmaster first, Hackmaster accountant to take on his role. And then after he will call other role takers to share their reports. Over to you, General Evaluator, Mr. Timothy Kavuma.
Thank you very much, TMWD. Just a point of inquiry. Is it okay for us to have the Hackmaster come after the evaluations?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr.
General. Geoffrey, kindly be on hold for now so that we get the reports first, then we shall have the Masters session later. I'd now like to invite our first evaluator. At Toastmasters, we believe that feedback is breakfast for champions. And I know most of us, it's past breakfast time, but for today, it's okay for us to have breakfast at close to 8 p.m. I know Derek Garcia role could still be in time for breakfast. Now, I would like to invite the first evaluator, who was Toastmaster Shamim Nire, to deliver her evaluation to Toastmaster Othieno's speech. Over to you, Shamim.
Thank you very much, Timothy Kavuma. I would like to give an evaluation for Andrew Othieno. Andrew, thank you so much for grabbing us with the hook of your story by beginning with the quotes, where there's will, there's way. You got us hooked in that introduction, and you carried us with you through the journey of your primary school at Buganda Road Primary School, then how you went to King's College, Budo, and then in senior 5, you contested for leadership in your school. And then after that, you went ahead to go to your higher studies, and then you eventually went to America to pursue still further education, and you kept repeating the quote, where there's will, there's way, for emphasis. I thought that was really amazing, and it kept us reminded of what was most important, which was your determination to rise through the ranks. You took us from that to where you left America and went to London School of Economics, and then later sought internship, still work experience. And then you went to Uganda, you came back to Uganda, then you went to Rwanda, and then you came back to Uganda. You kept emphasizing where there's will, there's way. It was amazing how we went along with that. You took us in your life, and mostly you shared about your education and your work. I would like to appreciate you. You also used Toastmaster of the evening. Our timer, how much time did Andrew use? Timer? No.
Andrew used 5 minutes and 37 seconds.
Okay, so Andrew, you were right within your times because your time was 4 to 7 minutes. That was amazing. And then you eventually gave us a call to action. In your conclusion, you gave us a call to action of where there's will, there's way. Personally, I left that your speech feeling like, yes, if you are determined, you actually will create a way from your will. Thank you very much. I felt like that was, you have strength in storytelling, and that was clearly understood. So you excelled at storytelling, you were right within your time, and you managed to share with us your life journey, especially education. What would you do to challenge yourself, Andrew? You delivered your speech when you were seated and you were swinging in the chair. Mostly it exhibited comfort, yes, but the swinging in the chair is a bit of a distraction to a listener. I would look at you in your chair and sometimes I would miss what you're saying. So to challenge yourself, endeavor to always stand when you're delivering your speech. I would also like you to challenge yourself to use your gestures. I'm holding my phone with one hand, but I'm supposed to be actually using two hands. We did not see you using your gestures, you know. So, then I would also like you to challenge yourself and have vocal variety. Most of the time, your speech was a little bit flat. Like, I felt like you missed opportunities where you would, in that emphasis, like where there's will, there's way. It was a little bit flat on the same way you were talking about your school and your journey. I also felt like we only got the opportunity to learn about your school and your work. We felt like you could share, I felt like you could share more about your life. What do you do now? What do you like? Yeah. Who is Andrew away from speaking? Yeah. So we are supposed to have a real feel into your life. I would also like you to challenge yourself to next time to say, engage the audience once in a while. How can you, but of course that was your introduction speech, but some people might be your hobbies, yeah? So when you said, I am old Budonian, I know there's that pride that comes with Budonian. Maybe we have Budonians in the house. You could just ask a rhetorical question, who is the Budonian here? And then you would build a connection. All in all, I would want to encourage you to work on, you might want to improve on your posture, stand up, let's have energy when you're speaking, gestures. And Andrew, I invite you to deliver more and more speeches. You're such a great storyteller. I can't wait to listen to more of your stories and in other projects. Thank you very much, and over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Shamim Nyerere, for that well-detailed evaluation report. Now I would like to invite our second evaluator, who is Frank Kafma, to deliver his report or evaluation or feedback for the second speaker. Over to you, Frank.
Thank you so much, General Evaluator. What a wonderful presentation from Elizabeth. Dandruff. Thank you, Elizabeth, for sharing with us this educative presentation. Actually, we reached a moment and started wondering, sometimes we suffer from diseases that we are not even aware of. How many of us have heard of dandruff, really? To me, it is a well-researched topic. It has brought out the meaning. You are able to explain to us what dandruff is in its context. What are the causes of this disease, the signs, symptoms, and the remedy? This shows that you are able to take off time to research the topic. Well done on that. Your speech was well structured. It had a well-detailed introduction The PowerPoint explained the body, and a conclusion was therein. You were able to improve on your stage presence. You were balancing on your camera. Well done, Elizabeth. Your stage, your audience engagement. Statements like imagine, they made us feel or sit back and started imagining what was really going on. You telling us to give some of the methods we use to treat those who have ever suffered, and you are able to read from the chat. It was well engaging the audience. Elizabeth, what would you work on? Your speech went beyond time. You took over 10 minutes and 40 seconds. And we know at Toastmasters, we always time our speeches, but your speech, you had 2 speeches in one, I can say. So you really need to work on the time. Secondly is your vocal variety. There are situations where we expected you to be low. When you went to visit your friend and they had shaved off their hair, we expected you to have a low tone to express that. But overall, you had a detailed presentation, you had references, and if you work on the time, your presentations will be extreme and good. Thank you, and over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Frank, for that well-delivered feedback. And to our evaluators, thank you for demonstrating effective or active listening. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to invite our Hackmaster, who is going to test our level of engaging active listening. Over to you, Toastmaster Geoffrey.
Thank you, General Evaluator. I listened into the speeches, I listened into the questions, I listened into the answers, and I hope each one of us did listen in quite well. And I have a few questions from various speeches to see how attentive each of us was during the meeting. I would expect when I pose a question, anyone can take on and answer the question that I pose. The first question is, where did Andrew Othieno finish his primary living examination from? Anyone telling us?
Kaboja.
Where did Andrew Othieno finish his primary school? Oscar B, are you there? Maybe you could answer that.
Yes, I'm here. He finished his primary school in Buganda Road.
Correct. Next question. Still in the speech of Andrew Othieno. Andrew Othieno talked about the many years he spent in different places. And now this question is about how many years did Andrew spend in Rwanda? How many years did Andrew spent in Rwanda? Charlotte, are you there?
Shamim has a hand up.
Shamim, yes.
Andrew
Can you tell us
spent
how many years?
Andrew spent 5 years in Rwanda.
Correct. Then during the speech of Elizabeth, during the introduction, her evaluator, Frank Kavuma, told us the purpose of Elizabeth's speech. What is or what was the purpose of Elizabeth's speech? Who can answer that? Can I pick on someone? Charity? What was the purpose or what is the purpose of Elizabeth's speech? Yes. Timothy?
And the purpose of Elizabeth's speech was for her to demonstrate research skills that are needed in a research project. It was for her to research on a topic and deliver a speech about the research topic.
Correct. Thank you very much. Elizabeth was telling us about dandruff, and somewhere she highlighted the cause of dandruff. What organism did she say causes dandruff?
Am I eligible to respond?
Really? No. TMOD, Agnes?
A difficult one to pronounce, but I think it was, wow, dermatitis.
Okay. Tama what? I thought that was a cure. Derek? Are you still there?
I am here, but I cannot remember what she said that was. Sorry.
Oh, Miriam? Okay.
Hello.
She
I'm
said,
here.
okay, Miriam, tell us.
She said it's an organism, something like melasthesia, something like that. The word is really
Correct. It's a fungus called melasthesia.
yeah.
Then in the table topics, Oscar likes listening to Patrick Vitature. Why does he like listening to Vitature? Does someone remember?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, Joshua, tell us. Why does Oscar like listening to Patrick?
That he likes his public speech and his financial respect towards, like he expects like how rich he is. He expects that the way he spends, but He listens and gives advice to whoever comes to him in every speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. Then in the table topics again, Miriam told us about her cousin. Does someone remember the illness the cousin was suffering from?
Throat cancer.
Thank you, Derek. Timothy Kavuma had a phrase, dash dash is the breakfast for champions. Dash dash is the breakfast for champions. Anyone who has not? Yes, Oscar?
Feedback. Feedback is the breakfast for champions.
Correct, correct. Feedback is the breakfast for champions. Over to you, General Evaluator. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Geoffrey, for that engaging session where we get to participate and display our active listening skills. Indeed, let's all unmute and clap for ourselves because we are active listeners. Well done, well done. Now I would like to invite the other members who have supported us to run this meeting seamlessly. And I'll start by inviting our, let me start with the grammarian so that the hour counter can catch a breath before he delivers his report. Toastmaster Alex Agaba, are you ready with your report?
Absolutely. And why is the hour counter going to count my hours and arms? Yeah, unfortunately, I can't show my video again, but here we go. I love this meeting. Members exhibited great command of the English language. They made my work easy and also hard. Easy because there were not many flaws, but also hard because, hey, I have to come and make a report in 2 minutes. What am I going to talk about? But I was keen to capture a few good usages of the English language. There's a speaker who said, shoot for the stars. I thought that was very interesting. It caught my attention. Another speaker said, where there's a will, there's a way. And he repeated it, making his speech a bit memorable. If someone asks you what you took from that speech, you can't fail to get something to say. Where there's a will, there's a way. That was a very good style of presenting his speech. I loved. Shave her hair clean. That was a good expression, I thought, to shave your hair clean. I could envision that activity by the way the speaker said it. Buckle our toes. I think that was a table topic speaker. Yeah, it caught my attention with that expression. His last seed. I think that was the same speaker when his father died and he was his last seed. That was a great imagery, I thought. Yeah. Some expressions that also tickled me the wrong way. A speaker said, these treatments are not working. I would have used the word not effective instead of not working. You gave us a call to action. I think that was an evaluator. These are correct statements, but I could have said them differently if it was me. Instead of saying you gave us a call to action, I would have said you called us to action. And Mr. General Evaluator, that's really what I had to capture today. And I love that some members used the word of the day. I remember TMOD, I remember the General Evaluator himself, and I think a few other members. Thank you very much, Kampala executives. It was such an honor being in this meeting. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Alex, for that precise yet detailed report. Thank you for keeping us in check in terms of how we use the Queen's language. Now I would like to invite our accountant so that we can get this whole thing about English sorted together before we progress to the final segments of this meeting. Over to you to deliver a report.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Once again, Geoffrey here as the accountant. Now, this was not an easy one because all the speakers were able to use the English language very well, and very few R's and long pauses. I found quite few. At some point, Toastmaster Garcia, as he was speaking about his dad, said, I can only imagine. So I believe, or I would think he would have just used one of the two. Then, as Evaluator Nirere started her evaluation, she was having a lot of pauses. I mean, a long pause, but later on she caught up and started speaking fluently, so to speak. Otherwise, everyone spoke very well. I could not get many other R's and L's. Thank you very much. Back to you, Toastmasters. I mean, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Geoffrey, for that brief report. And finally, I would like to invite Toastmaster Frank to deliver the report as our timer tonight. Over to you, Frank. Frank, are you on the call? It looks like Frank, oh yeah, he's here. He's trying to join back. Frank, kindly feel free to share your report if you have logged back on successfully.
Okay, thank you so much. I had an internet break, but which one I start? I start with the timer.
Yes, please.
All right. We had different speeches. The icebreaker, Andrew Othieno. His speech was supposed to be between 4 to 6 minutes. He used 5 minutes, 37 seconds. Elizabeth Asiimwe. The speech was supposed to be between 6 to 7 minutes. He used 10 minutes and 40 seconds. Those were the two prepared speeches. Table topics, we had Joshua. His speech was supposed to be between 1 to 2 minutes. He used 38 seconds. That was way below the average. Derek used 2 minutes, 19 seconds. Well, the time was well used. Oscar, 1 minute, 26 seconds. We advise that you use all the time allocated to you. Then Miriam used 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Time well used. The last category were the evaluation speeches. Shamim Nidele, the speech was supposed to be between 2 minutes and 3 minutes. Her speech was 3 minutes, 43 seconds. She was above the time allocated. Then Frank used 3 minutes, 25 seconds. Time well managed. Thank you so much. And over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Frank, for that report. Indeed, a Toastmasters, one of the core competences that we learn is time management. And we believe that an effective speech is that one that is delivered within the time that is allocated to it. Allow me display my report as the general evaluator. Again, through this report, I will share what we have done well and a few suggestions on how we can improve our performance as individuals as well as the club. But before I start, I would like to first of all congratulate the club for conducting such a successful meeting. We had a WhatsApp group. I was able to be part of that, where preparations for this meeting happened in order for us to have a successful meeting. Well done to the executive committee. Now I'll start with the meeting, how we started today. The meeting started by the Sergeant at Arms welcoming all of us into the meeting room. She exhibited such a strong sense of boldness, having been executing this role for the first time. Today was Charity's first day to be Sergeant at Arms, and I felt like she did well. She shared clear meeting etiquettes. She engaged the guests even throughout the meeting by asking guests to share contact details. I thought that that was well done. And she handed over the meeting to the club president smoothly. Well done to Charity. Moving on to the president, I like the fact that when you took on the meeting flow, you engaged the audience, you invited guests to share in the meeting, you invited the division director, you invited the area director to say a word to the audience, and you also invited one guest to represent the guests. I thought that that was well done. So thank you for that. You also shared the club mission for the purpose of guests that were joining us. They know what happens at Kampala Executives as a club. You also had a smooth transition as you were handing over to the Toastmaster of the day. I also like the fact that when you were introducing her, you introduced her with honor, and I believe that that set a pace for her to run this meeting. Moving on to the Toastmaster of the day. Thank you very much for being an indomitable, a quintessential Toastmaster of the day. I like the fact that you chose a good theme, active listening, one of the things that we campaign for at Toastmasters. You clearly introduced it, and the reason why we need to have it as a skill in our leadership and communication packages. You effectively introduced your role takers, called everyone by name to introduce their roles. I thought that that was well done. This is what I really loved the most. You reiterated key take-home messages from the speakers that we had. I vividly remember when Toastmaster Othieno was handing over the floor to you, you said a statement that where is a will, there is a way. And I thought that that was well done for a Toastmaster, so that if there was a member that missed that key message, they could be able to take it from you as a Toastmaster of the day. I had only one recommendation for you. That is not for you, I will share this. But let me share the one that I have. I thought that towards the end of the meeting, the theme was lost. I would have loved you to share more nuggets on how we can improve our skills in terms of active listening. What do we need to do to make sure that we are not distracted while we're listening to speakers? So those are things that I expected to learn from the meeting, looking at the theme. Overall, I enjoyed whatever you had to share for us today. Moving on to other role takers, we had Frank Kavuma taking on the timer's role spontaneously towards the meeting. I like the fact that you introduced your role, you shared the time allocation for every speech that we had tonight, and you also signaled speakers, apart from Elizabeth, who had a PowerPoint. I'd request you to challenge yourself to demonstrate share the signals as you introduce your role. When you're called upon by the Toastmaster of the day to introduce your role, run a demo on how these cards will look like for the purpose of the guests and perhaps speakers that are going to be using PowerPoint technology, the same that happened to Elizabeth. Overall, you performed your role with such great excellence. Our next role taker is the grammarian, who was Alex Gawa. Thank you, Alex, for having a good choice for the word of the day or phrase of the day, active listening. It was clearly introduced, and as you were introducing the word of the day, it was very precise. This is what I want to have you challenge yourself with. As you introduced this phrase as a grammarian, I would have loved you to share the meaning, the literal meaning of the phrase. How can we use it in a statement? Perhaps if applicable, you could have shared synonyms or antonyms where applicable. But other than that, I love the fact that you paid close attention to every speaker that used the word of the day. You also mentioned them towards the end as you were giving your report. And I also like the fact that you shared recommendations on how we can improve our diction. Moving on to the speakers, I enjoyed the speeches tonight. We had 2 speakers and all of them were excellent speakers. There was a great evidence for preparation. I could take note of that from the PowerPoint that Elizabeth used, and I could also tell that Othieno had a written speech that he was presenting tonight. For an icebreaker, that is acceptable, and well done to all of you speakers for preparation. One recommendation I have for you, Elizabeth, would have been to ask for assistance, have someone display the PowerPoint on your behalf, so that you don't have to lose time as you maneuver through the technology. Other than that, your speech was informative and you had a lot of knowledge to share with your audience. So well done to that. Moving on to the evaluations. We had 2 evaluators. They all shared the speech objectives for their speakers while they were introducing them. They went ahead to share areas that they were going to pay close attention to. And I thought that that was well done. I could also note that while they're delivering their evaluation, they followed what they shared at the intro while they were introducing their speakers. I also liked the smooth handover that came through the introduction of the speakers. The transitions were smooth. Towards the end, I really loved that all of them used the sandwich method. To our guests, a sandwich is where we start off the evaluation with areas where the speaker has done well, share a few recommendations, and we close it up with praises where the evaluator has enjoyed the speech that was well done. There was evidence for active listening. I could tell that Shamim paid close attention to the speaker. Towards the end of our evaluation, she mentioned specific examples that were part of Othieno's speech. For example, where he went to school, where he started his career, and the time that he came back to Uganda. I thought that she paid close attention. This also came through while Frank was delivering his evaluation. As an evaluator, one of the things that you need to exhibit is active listening. This would have been my number 1, where you shared spot on recommendations. We have times where evaluators share recommendations that are not applicable, but I like that tonight all the recommendations that were shared were spot on. One recommendation that I have for our evaluators, let's always try to limit the recommendations to at least 3. Why? Because When you share very many areas of improvement, the speaker is not going to work on all of them at the same. I would have loved you to share at least 3 or 2 and give specific guidelines on how a speaker can improve. For example, if you encourage your speaker to use pauses, demonstrate where they can use pauses, where pauses should not be used, and how effectively they can use the pauses, perhaps how long the pauses should be. When you share much more details on a point of recommendation, it helps the speaker to employ that feedback to plow it back into their development journey. And then the last recommendation that I had for the evaluators is demonstrate where applicable. I had one of the evaluators mention something to do with vocal variations. I know this is something that doesn't come automatically to most of us, but I always encourage us to demonstrate. For example, if you are saying a statement about where a speaker meets a colleague who has shaved the hair clean, shaving the head clean, I would have loved you to demonstrate that. Say, assuming I'm the evaluator and I'm delivering this feedback, I would have said, Elizabeth, while you were talking about your friend that shaved the hair clean, I would have loved you to say, I phoned her and she had shaved her hair clean. So as you demonstrate, you show this speaker that perhaps that is one of the ways that they can practice that feedback, other than just pointing at the area of recommendation without giving them a how. Otherwise, I enjoyed the evaluations, and there is great information that was shared during that segment. Moving on to the table topics, here we had a little bit of challenge where the preset table topics master had internet glitches, and I like the spontaneity that the Toastmaster of the day exhibited, as she intended to take on this role. So we can clap for her in a few seconds. She had questions that she had started asking the audience. I really like that. One recommendation for you, Agnes, it's important. I like the fact that you did well, and this was because you were not prepared for that role. But just that we all take note of this. It's important for us to select a Toastmaster first so that they can demonstrate for our guests on how to do this. And not so much blame on you, you were not prepared for the role. I also like the fact that the Toastmaster, the table topics master of the day, Toastmaster Wilson, was able to come to the rescue of the situation, and he introduced the role. I like the fact that he gave more emphasis on why we need to partake in this session. I like the questions that you asked. They were relatable and they had information that the audience could share with us. One recommendation for you, Wilson, I would suggest that you ask the question first so that it keeps others on tenterhooks, thinking perhaps they could select them or not, other than having a person selected, then you go on the topic. But that's not so much big deal. It's just a food for thought. That's the end of my presentation. Well done, Kampala executive. There is great improvement in our preparations, in our role execution. All the best. Looking forward to the next meeting. Back to you, TMOD.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, General Evaluator. Timothy, what a way to demonstrate active listening. He really listened to every role taker and has shared with us areas we can improve. So this topic, this theme about listening. 2 things in the interest of time. It's something I am working on personally. And so I want to remind myself and remind you to be intentional about it. Choose to listen. Every time you catch yourself getting distracted, try to get yourself back. Remind yourself you made a choice to listen. Number 2, there are many, by the way, but just 2 of them. Practice, practice, practice. If G calls on you on for a role, take it on. When you're listening in a meeting, at work, wherever, remind yourself you have to listen, practice listening. Having said that, it has been an honor hosting you for this evening's meeting. And now I hand over to Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Toastmaster of the evening, Agnes Katushabe. Members, please join me in giving Agnes a big round of applause. Agnes, like the general evaluator mentioned, indeed you are quintessential. Please keep it up. We are privileged that you accepted to take on this role, even on a short notice. Thank you. Thank you so much. And please send our regards to all the members at Kampala Sunrise. I take this opportunity to thank all the role takers. You've done a tremendous job, and I'll clap for all of you. I thank all the guests that have joined us today. In a special way, I recognize the presence of Grace Mark Tusubira. The decision you made to join is the best this year. Oscar B, we had you, and we look forward to engaging more and sharing more information about Toastmasters Club. Joshua Msimenta, the door is open, you're always welcome to join our meetings and subsequently join us as a member. I recognize Kithinji Marangu, who may be a Toastmaster or a guest. Kithinji, if you're there, please wave to us. We love guests at Kampala Executives. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Derek Garcia, all the way from the Bahamas. We are honored by your presence. Toastmaster Andrew Othieno, congratulations upon giving your first speech as a Toastmaster, the icebreaker. Thank you so much. It is just the beginning, and we look forward to growing together and delivering more speeches together. Everyone that has joined, again, thank you very much. We have about 3 minutes to the end of our meeting, but before we end, I'll request the executive committee, in case anyone has any announcements, please use less than a minute and share with us. I'll start with Toastmaster Wilson. Are you on?
Thanks very much, Madam President. I would like to remind our members that the time to renew our membership is around the corner. We have 2 months to go. Let us start saving some money for renewal. We can pay in installments. It is so tough for a Toastmaster to be off the Toastmasters list and then get back. In most cases, you lose what you did before. So don't even think about pausing. Over to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. We are privileged to have you. How many clubs in the district have the division director as their treasurer? Kampala Executives, we are so blessed. Thank you, Wilson. We have Frank. Frank is our club secretary. Frank, anything from your desk?
No,
Okay,
Madam President.
Please go ahead, Frank.
Nothing on my table.
Okay, great. Thank you for the notification. We have Charity Nyonshuti, who is our sergeant at arms and has started her role today. Charity, anything from your desk?
I appreciate members for being calm and for bringing order to the meeting. And our dear guests, I request you to leave your contacts, your email, such that we can be able to invite you and update you about any happening in our club. Thank you.
That is fantastic. Thank you very much, Charity. I'll give two guests half a minute each to unmute their microphones and videos and greet us again, and we close the meeting. And we'll start with Grace Mark Toastmaster. As Grace prepares, we could hear from Oscar B. How was your experience? How have you found the meeting?
Hello, unfortunately, I'm in a really, really bad location. The experience was absolutely amazing, wonderful. I love the way everything has been structured and pre-thought. And I'll definitely be back again for the next meetings, I think, which are every Friday. I'm still getting the hang of things. I understand that there are also preset words of the day and so forth. So I'd like to get that information so that I can prepare better for the next Toastmasters meeting. But all in all, wonderful.
Thank you very much, Oscar. We look forward to hosting you again. So, looks like Grace has dropped off, but we can hear from Derek. Toastmaster Derek, please unmute and say a word. Tell us how the meeting has been in your perspective. Thank you, Derek.
All right, so this is not guest remarks. This is follower and friend remarks now, right? Because I am no longer a guest.
Of course.
It's been good. It's been good. I enjoy it. You never disappoint. I look forward to coming back again.
Thank you, Derek. Send our love to the members at your club in the Bahamas. Okay, Kithinji Marangu, are you by any chance on?
Yes, Kithinji Marangu is here. Good evening, all of you. Happy to joining from Yaoundé, Cameroon. And it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. I like the way the meeting was run. I like all the things that I've done, I've witnessed this evening, and I will come again. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Githingu. Ladies and gentlemen, that marks the end of our meeting this evening. If you have some time, we can end the meeting now and then stay on for a few 3-5 minutes to catch up. The meeting is adjourned to the third Wednesday of March. Good evening.